19th century marked a new turn in American industry. With the Industrial Revolution in full effect, the lives of millions of Americans would be changed forever. The industrial age had begun. Skyscrapers, cars, trains, factories, and mass production are all products caused by the enormous surge in industrial growth. But all these things cannot occur without one item: steel. Before the Industrial Revolution, steel was a rare commodity, as it took extreme amounts of labor and resources to produce the reinforced iron alloy. This would all change with a man named Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie brought steel into a new light. For the first time in history, steel can be produced in massive quantities. By mass-producing steel, Carnegie was able to meet the massive demand of steel caused by the Industrial Revolution. By doing this, Carnegie sets America to enter the new industrial age by providing the very steel to fuel the expanding American economy. Without Carnegie's steel, it can be argued that the Industrial Revolution would have started at a slower pace, as without his steel, nothing could have been built. Even still, despite the fact most of Andrew Carnegie's steel came from his own entrepreneurship, not all of his success can be attributed to just himself. As most people know who Andrew Carnegie is, many do not know the second part of his steel empire.
Henry Frick was that second piece. Early on, Henry saw the potential in coking coal deposits for the emerging steel industry, and he started to purchase coal-rich lands in southern Pennsylvania. Using a high-carbon form of coal, better known as coke, steel manufacturers could produce steel at an affordable rate. Frick, after outstanding returns on his investment, bought more land and began setting up coal ovens. He eventually bought up to 80% of the output in the region, making him a major coke producer. After realizing the potential of coal deposits, in 1882, Carnegie cut Henry into his company for 11% stock interest. In return, Carnegie got a portion of Henry's coke company, but Frick would continue as president of the company. Before Frick, the steel firm consisted of 5 or 6 mills and furnaces, and there was no centralized management. Frick worked out a plan in 1892 to reorganize Carnegie Steel, this new system causing them to profit up to $25 million. With Henry Frick and the new plan, the firm's profits and efficiency increased dramatically.
Henry Frick was the ideal American self-made businessman. He stood for the possibilities of the American dream and paved a path for future leaders of business. But like any businessman, he made enemies. While running Carnegie Steel Company, Frick had a mill called the Homestead Mill. His fashions of running the mill weren't exactly ideal, and his labor rules were very disliked by his employees. Frick was highly opposed to a labor union or any organized labor movements. In July of 1892, workers at the Homestead Works of the Carnegie Steel Company went on strike because they wanted to organize something that Frick adamantly opposed. In response to the strike, Frick closed the doors of the factory to the workers and brought in Pinkerton detectives to guard the mill. The Homestead Mill would be known as Fort Frick. The conflict between Frick and employees would end with all-out war at Fort Frick, finishing when workers let the Pinkertons surrender and be hauled away in barges. Along with war at his steel mills, Frick suffered from an attack by anarchist Alexander Berkman. Berkman attacked Frick on July 23, 1892, when he gained access to Frick's office during the Homestead strike. Berkman was able to stab and shoot Frick during the attack, but Frick recovered. While running his mills, Henry Frick did as many other industrialists had concerning labor conditions and got away with it because cheap labor was easy to find and eager to work. Henry Frick's labor disputes helped labor movements by giving them something to fight against. This further strengthened the unions as Henry's opposition brought them more disgruntled workers to the union cause. Although it was not considered ideal, his employment offered low-class workers jobs and helped keep lower-class families afloat.
Henry Frick is more than just a businessman and a second-hand part of Carnegie's steel empire, but a true American hero. His efforts in the steel industry transformed American industry and contributed to a large part of the Industrial Revolution. Without Frick, the Industrial Revolution would have progressed much slower due to his huge influences in American steel. Frick also made major contributions to society by leaving behind around $50 million. Around 5/6 of this was donated to philanthropy and public projects. Without Henry Frick, the image of the Industrial Revolution would have been a totally different picture. From Henry's enormous donation to society to his tribute to the Industrial Revolution, shadowed behind Carnegie, Frick is truly an unknown American hero.